Yeah. Start a new week here. And behind door number 1, there's a Porsche and a Triumph. Behind door number 2, there's a VW van. Oh, behind door number 3 is the old Mercedes Benz. And then without a door, someday I gotta clean up the boat so I can get it into the water. Anyway, but I think this week here, I'm gonna go behind door number 2 for a while. See what's happening with the Volkswagen van. Yeah, there you go. So these guys here, Burley Motorsports, right? They call it the complete bushing package, plus a couple other things like motor mounts. So you got a motor mount package, right? And a complete bushing package, and then ball joints, I think I also ordered from them. Anyhow, that'll make the van roadworthy if I ever get the motor going. So I'm waiting for motor parts on the van also. Cool. Yeah, so meanwhile, on the Volkswagen van, here, where is it? Which one? That one's good, right? This one here, see there's holes in there and there. And then this part here had better days. So, wait till I move this over here so you can see it a bit better. There. So this manifold here, this whole thing is about $500. So I'm going to see if I can save it. I'll cut them right here and right here. And then I'll be able to, I'll build a new flange over here, which I used part of the old muffler stuff from, like the old muffler had this flange on the other side. So I recut those holes in it, and then I've got the pipe cut off there, and I'm just going to weld these two pieces of pipe on here, set la. Then I'll cut it off the other side, and then put it back together with this flange on it. Hopefully I'll get it right side up, because I do love doing things twice. We'll see what happens. Yeah, there now I just tacked them on there, and then I'll set them up against here, and I think, whoops, there I'm looking the wrong way, right? So I think that'll work all right if I weld them on, and then I can just like cut it back that far, re-weld it, and that'll get around all those holes and stuff. Then I'll put a bit of a sleeve around them so that it's a good solid fit. We'll see what happens here. So I'm going to try and see if I can, I'm going to see if I can fix this thing here up. Like you can see, can you see through there? You can see right through. Somebody did an awful lot of welding on that one other time and made a total mess of it. So this is part of the manifold from the, over here. This is part of the manifold that came off of the, what do you call that? Off of the exhaust pipe going out to the muffler, which is not really usable. There's the old muffler. I don't know, you can see that? Yeah. Right there. There's the old muffler. And it's had a better life. So I'm going to order a new muffler one of these days. And the end piece, the manifold that hooked onto the end of that muffler, I cut that apart to make this new flange to go on here. So that'll just fit right on there. Hey, that might look all right. So what I'll do is I'll carefully measure that from the flange to there, cut this the same length, and see if I can make that all come together. Then I'll see about fixing up some of this. I don't know what this metal is, whether it's weldable. If it's not weldable, I'm not too worried about it. I'll just think about that then. Like maybe it's gluable, because don't know how much heat is in there. It's got, like, from what I can tell, there's the layer of metal, and then underneath it there's a layer of like asbestos or something like that, some sort of something to keep it from burning. And this is where, like, it's got in an airplane, I think they call it a bleed air system, where they bleed air off the hot manifold to heat the cabin. So it's the same idea. It's a bleed air system. The fan will suck air from here. Fresh air comes in here, so it goes along the manifold. Can you see that? Yeah, goes along the manifold and then goes out the other end to the ducting system for the heater inside the cab of the inside the van. Now, a lot of the pieces at the back are missing, but I'll get them apart and then decide what I have to order for that, or else build for that, one of the two. And then we'll see about having an actual heating system that works, because you know I'm in Canada, right? So there. Okay, so I'll just get after this for a little bit and see. I have to do some more welding and cleaning up on this bit here, but actually it's looking not too bad. And then go on to that. Then after that's done, I'm going to clean up the heads. I got new valves, so I'm going to clean up the heads, and I've got a thing for cleaning up the, you know, whatever you call that, for twisting the valves back and forth. I can see that kit here of this kit here of all the seals and stuff doesn't seem to have front and rear main seals in it. I'll just take it apart and have a look, see what's in there. I don't think there's a front and rear main seal in that package there, and if there's not, I'll have to order them and get them up here before I start putting it all together, right? Okay, anyhow, here we go. Yeah, now, so I took it all apart, and indeed there's no front or rear main seal in that package, so I'll work on that later. Yeah, now I'm getting a bit ahead of you. So now I've cut off the end of this. Here's the old one. Where's the old one? Right here, right? Used to be on there like that. So I cut that off, past all that holes and stuff, and it actually looks like pretty good metal in there, right? Now, this piece here, of course, I didn't make it quite long enough, but that was not that I didn't anticipate that I'd have it wrong. So here, this piece here, I made a couple of extra sleeves to fit over each one, right? And then those sleeves will make it so I got the right length out here to make it right. So I'll go ahead and I'll weld on this part here, right? Where is it? I'll weld on these two sleeves here, and then I'll stick them on there, and we'll weld them on there, and then see how things work out. The measurement from this line here to the flange is 11.4 centimeters. Got it marked on there. Yeah, there, so I just tacked that on around there, and now I'll weld it around as best I can. Yeah, here we are. So that's welded on there. Fairly good. Fairly well welded. Yep. It's on there. And I think it's solid enough. So now the next one is to get the other piece, that piece there, up on there, and then I'll get it welded onto the right spot of that, I hope. Yeah, a machinist's favorite tools are a what do you call it? A micrometer, right? Or close to it. And a sledgehammer. So, anyhow, but here now, I'll take the this thing here, which I can set the angle on and lock, right? I've measured this angle on the one that's all together, right? That's the angle it's got to be right there on the floor. So this one here, I'll get the same angle on it from this, and then get the right measurement from there and just tack it on. I'll show you as soon as I get it tacked on. Yeah, so there you go. I got it tacked on now, and it's got the right angle on it there. Same angle as this one over here has. And then the distance is from my measurement point here. It's supposed to be 11.4, give or take a little bit. See what we come up with. That's 11.4 right there. So it's 11 point. Sometimes very difficult to operate this thing. What do we got there? 11.3. So yeah, I'll be happy with that and off a millimeter. But I don't think that'll make a big difference there. So we're okay. I better just check this other measurement here on the other side of it. Come on, machine. There. .3 on there too, so just 1 millimeter off. Hey, that's not bad for my kind of work, right? So anyhow, that'll do, and I'll get that welded together. I'll put it back up on the bench and get it welded together and show you when I get it done. I'll cut a couple of little tabs and fill these holes in. There's one on each side from that piece that goes around, and that'll make it solid all the way around. We'll just see. Yeah, there we go. That's done. I won't do too much grinding on it because the oh, it's hot. I don't want to, take any strength out of it. So, but I think we're all right with it. I'll turn it over and see how it looks from the other side. I don't see any light coming through in here. I'll put a light on there and see what happens. Yeah, so the only pinhole I found was right here on this little lip right there. Anyhow, then I did check and see if it would weld on this stuff. So that, whatever that metal is, it'll weld. So I'll make a few little patches. But what I'll do is just make patches and put them over the top. I won't try cutting that stuff because there's not much there to cut. And it's got some sort of stuff underneath it, and I don't want to cut into that. But I'll have to go and I'll get all the grease off that first. Yeah, anyway, it's cleaned off reasonably well now. Like I don't want to take it too much deeper than that. I wire brushed it up here and took that grease remover stuff to it. So on the other side here, there's some damage down here that I'll try and fix up. A little bit of damage there. Don't know whether I'll even try to fix that up. There's some damage here that I should try and fix up. And right here. The other side I think is in fairly good shape. So this side here is the only one that I really have to worry about. I'll see if I can find some thin metal around here to fix it with. Yeah, so there I made a little piece that'll fit right on top of that. And I'll just weld it around the edges there, and that'll hold that on and patch it up. Then these holes here, I'll see if I can just put a bit of weld in those holes there to get them back together. That may or may not work. If it doesn't, I'll just put another patch over the top of here. We'll just see what happens. Yeah, there's the easy stuff done. Now down here a little bit more difficult. I'll figure that out. Don't know what's on, like that's metal there, right? Don't know what's underneath there. There's like must be like a, what do you call that? Asbestos type of weave underneath there. Yeah, now, so I found a little scrap piece of metal here that actually kind of fits this area here. And I put a bend in it like that did that on the brake, and then I put this other little bit of a flange coming out to meet this thing. That thing there isn't perfect anymore, but I'll meet it with this, and that'll make it a happy thing. Whoops, pointing the wrong way. Then we'll see how it goes. Yeah, there now, I'm going to call that serviceable. This hole is supposed to be here from the factory, I think. And that lets anything, like if the oil drips in there, then it allows it to drip out. There's a couple of little holes around that I'm not going to worry about too much. There's one right here. and another one on the other side. And then this, around the edge of this manifold is ragged, and around the edge of this manifold is ragged, but I think it's all right now. I think there's, like, the air should flow through there fairly well without getting plugged, or without, going the right way to catch the heat off that manifold. Now, it's going to take a while to burn all the oil and junk off that manifold anyhow, so we'll just see what happens. Yeah, now here's the other side that I think is pretty good. Well, for the most part, pretty good. You see it's ragged up around here too, and a little bit ragged around the edge of those. Not too bad. So I'm going to take this out and I'll clean it all off. I don't know what, that hole that was on the other side isn't on this side. I'll have to plug that hole, eh? We'll just see. It sure looked like it should be there. So I'll just leave it, I think. Anyway, I'll go out and see if I can scrape some of the grease off of this. Yeah, so here's the good side, and it's cleans up pretty good, pretty well. Most of the yuck is all gone from it now, so I think that's a serviceable piece there. We'll put it back into service. Yeah, so when I'm excuse me, when I'm doing this stuff, I get the settings on this down as low as it'll go. It's 140, 24 gauge. Speed is 140, and the amps or whatever it comes up to automatically. But it's the thinnest metal I can use because that stuff is pretty thin, right? Yeah, Tony, he wants to go in the house, but it's raining out. Oh, what'll I do now? Meow. Raining, yeah. I have to put some stuff away before we can go in the house. Yeah, here I am. So, new week, sort of. Yesterday started working on this thing again. Yesterday was getting those exhaust manifolds back together in a proper fashion. And they're pretty good now. Where are they? Right there. And so, next is, I think, the heads, right? So I'll take the blanket off of everything. But while I was at it, I decided I'd put a stainless cover on this little workbench that I have here with a vise on it, because I'll likely be using it quite a bit for clean stuff. And it's always full of yuck and dirt because it was wood. So I have had an old barbecue out back. Yeah. I have a few of them. And it's one of them is stainless steel, so that's the used to be the door. Hey, used to be the door of the barbecue. And now it's a cover for this, which actually looks pretty good. So that's the inside of the door there. I'll find something to do with that. That's galvanized, so you got to be careful with that when you're welding and everything. Anyway, on to cleaning off the bench and getting to work on the Volkswagen internals. Yeah, there's head number, piston 3 and 4, right? And there was a couple of little chip right there out of it, and it's had some rough treatment somehow or other. Like that must be from a bunch of dirt, or somebody threw gravel in there. I don't know what happened, but I'll try not to let that happen again. But the valves, the S on that one, that'd be intake. Yeah, intake. S for standard Volkswagen. This one here, it doesn't say. So I've sort of cleaned that off a little bit. I'll see if I can sort of smooth that out. So, and same thing here. Smooth that out. Yeah, so I lightly sanded those places where there's burrs in it, and they feel pretty smooth now. I just don't want anything to come free and start rattling around and cause more of this stuff later. And that's all for that. Yeah, so I've got this valve compressor thing. You just put one end up on there. I don't know that you really need this on that side of it, but this side here, so you can get around the valves. Then you push it in until you get these little things out that are the holders for it. You hear it go thump after a bit. And then loosen it off and the thing should come off there. I'll show you in a minute. Yeah, there the spring comes out. It's got that holder for it. Then the valve is here. I've got new valves for it, so these ones actually look pretty decent anyhow. Or that one does. And the valve seat looks like it's okay. So I'll just carry on and take these all apart. These things here, they don't matter if they get mixed up. These things here don't matter if they get mixed up. I'll fix up this side of the head, or I'll fix up this head, and then I'll go and do the other side. Yeah, so I figured I better just check and make sure the new valves were the same as the old valves. And indeed they are. Same height, same diameter at the top and everything. And they fit the sleeves. Now, I tried to get new guides for it, new valve guides, but to no avail. So I'll live with these ones the way they are. This one, now, I'll take out these 4 and then clean them up. I've got a grinder thing. I'll grind them up and get them seated right, and that'll be good. Yeah, I'm on to valve number 3 now, which would be, what is that? Intake, exhaust. That's exhaust, that's intake, is it? Yeah. Intakes are the big one, exhaust are the small ones. Yeah, so intake right there. And when you tighten this thing in, it gets kind of tight. Whoops, then you lose that damn thing out of it. This thing falls out regularly. Anyway, that's all right. So once it's a little bit snug and tight on it, then just give it a little crack with a hammer. And like you just have to tap it, and that clears it on the little holder things, right? These little things here that hold the valve. There's 2 of them per. So that opens it up so that they come off of there. Then you can screw it in a little bit more, and then that'll fall out in your hand, that thing. Yeah, so here all the valves are out. Now it didn't have any valve seals up here. I wonder if it's supposed to. I'll find out from the book what's supposed to be in there and see if there's seals over there. I didn't see any valve seals in that bunch of stuff there, whatever you call that, the gaskets. Anyway, that's all for today. Gotta go to dinner. Bye for now. Yeah, so here I am, back at it. Now I've had this out and cleaned it off with, grease cleaner and stuff like that. So it's not, sparkling clean, but it's clean. Now I'll go ahead and start checking valve stuff here. Put a little bit of oil in each one of these things, and then the way you check the clearance of the valve guide is by just pushing this valve back even here, right? You see that? There's where it pushes through. So you push it back to even there, and then rock it back and forth a little bit, and use I've got this thing here, a needle thing. Use that to, tell where the how much it needs there, how much space it needs, and the tolerances are in here somewhere. I'll find it right back here. Yeah, so where did I read it? I read it in here. Rock valve guide back and forth against dial indicator, maximum 1.2 millimeters, which is quite a bit. Okay, I'll start doing stuff. Now, unless I'm reading this wrong, which I don't think I am, so when you lift up, here's what I did. Lift up the valve and then get this dial meter on here. sitting like that, and like that. Then you rock the valve back and forth a bit, like push it this way, it goes to 0.6 down there, pretty close. Push it this way, it goes to 0.5, pretty close down there. So that's, here, I'll show you here, goes from about there to about there, right? So that's 10 1/1000ths of an inch. So then the tolerance says, where does it say? It says the tolerance is, the maximum is 40 1/1000ths of an inch, right? So I think I'm okay. I think I got 0.010, and I'm allowed to have 0.040. Now, have I got that right? I think so. Who knows? Yeah, so all the measurements I've taken are good. All the new valves are just exactly what they say, except in length. And here it says 4.540 inches, and mine are 4.61 inches, which is the same length as the ones that I took out of it. So, I don't know. I guess they'd be all right if I'll just putting in exactly the same as what I took out. And this thing here on the, how much of this is left over is all new, so there's lots of room there. So, near as I can tell, everything is within tolerance so far. I'll check this side here, and I'll let you know. Yeah, so now all of them seem to check out all right. So these are all less than 0.01. This one here is 0.014. So that's the worst one right there, and it's well within tolerance. So I'm happy with all that. I think I've got it measured right. In fact, I'm fairly confident with all my measurements now. Everything seems to be within spec, which is nice, eh? Now, I'll go ahead and I'll get them what they call lapping. Now, I've got a little device here for lapping. I'll show it to you if I find it now. Yeah, so here it is, this thing here, which, everything on the internet, right? So when you're lapping valves, you're supposed to go like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth like that. You're not supposed to go around in a circular motion. And so this thing here, and it's very tiresome when you're doing it by hand, but this thing here mimics that motion with the drill. So it just does the back and forth, and you put your drill on there. So you put a little dab of valve grinding compound, maybe in 3 or 4 places along here. Then I'm going to put some oil along here so that it doesn't, get yucky, and a little bit of valve grinding compound on here, and then just work it back and forth a bit and run it in. They're actually in pretty good shape, those over here, pointing away. Over here, this is all actually in pretty good shape. There's not much pitting or anything in there. So I'll do this one first and see how it works out. Oh, focusing failed. There you go. How's that now? So there's the first one done. You see now that little gray strip there, that's the contact strip, and it looks nice and clean. Everything looks right. And this one here, the contact strip here, looks nice and clean. Everything's right. So I'm just going to put this valve in here in a second. I'll clean it off a bit and put it in. Hang on. That one is done. And it actually looks really good. Feels real good too. So I'll do the rest of them up. I might get my tripod here set up so you can see what I'm doing. Then I'll put it on fast forward. Yeah, there you are. So that's the camera angle, I think. Can you see me? Hello. Anyhow, this one here is next. So I'll pull it out. Give it a little bit of a wipe. Now I'll put some grinding compound on here in 3 or 4 places. This grinding compound is about as yucky as it gets. Just take a dab on my finger and just 1, 2, 3, 4 spots. Now I think I have about a lifetime supply of this stuff now. And I've got this engine rebuilding oil. Put a bit of that on here. And it's stickier than shit. Everything's sticky and yucky when you're doing this stuff. Maybe I should have rubber gloves on, but I don't. So I just run this in and out a few times to make sure it's going to be feeling okay in there. And it does. So then we get the drill machine. So you have to hold on to this while it's going, because that'll turn it, make it turn back and forth like that. And just lick that with your tongue. Put it on there. Away it goes. There now, I don't know, can you see that? That's where it's been grinded off, is that little gray spot there, a gray area. And the inside of this is matching pretty nicely. And I think I've got rid of most of the pitting, or all of the pitting. I think that one's okay. I'll see what I can do about the other ones and carry on. Yeah, now there's the other exhaust valve done. I wonder if that's in focus there. Yeah, maybe. And you can see that little gray line in there. That little gray line is where it was grinding on each other, and that's what it's supposed to look like. And it matches in here. Can you see that? Wait, I'll get a light and shine it in there. How's that? Can you see how that is there now? So I'll take a Q-tip and I'll clean that all out with a little bit of brake cleaning stuff. And same with all of them, I'll clean them all out, but I'll make sure all the valves go back in the same place now, because they're seated to the individual one. And I don't see any flaws anywhere on the thing. I think it's all pretty good. So I'm happy. That'll work good. Yeah, there's the little tool thing. It's ABN, Auto Body Now, made in China, of course. Valve lapping tool attachment, and it's just made for going on the end of the drill and makes it go back and forth, back and forth. Cool. Yeah, now they're all back in there now, and I won't take them out. I got to put the valve springs back on it, and that'll be good. I wondered about valve seals. Like in most motors you get valve seals along there, but in this motor you don't, because they're up high like that and sloped downwards, and they didn't put valve seals in there because, you know, oil doesn't get up around there to seep down the valve. I think they're happy with any oil that does get down there to lubricate the valve, so that's why there's no valve seals in there. And there's none in the gasket package because there's not supposed to be. There you go. Yeah, so here we go. So that's 3 of them are in again. And I've got this little valve thing for, you know, tightening the valves and stuff like that. Seems to work reasonably well. Like it's made in China, so it's got its limitations, I'm sure. But one more to go, and I'll maybe turn on the camera for that. Yeah, you're liable to just get my shoulder. So what I do is I put this into the vise this way, just sort of snug. Yeah, there now, that's 4 of them in. 1, 2, 3, 4. And what's the other side look like? Hey, get flipped over here. Sometimes difficult, sometimes not so difficult. So it all looks pretty good now. That's this side. Valves are okay now. New valves and grounded in. Yeah, so there's new valves back in here. Pretty heavy for an aluminum head. Oh well. And there they are on that side there. Pretty tickled up there somehow. I don't know how that happened, but must have got a piece of metal in there somewhere and rattled around for a while. Anyway, I'll carry on with the other head. This head and the other head, there's the old exhaust gasket in here, which this one was obviously leaking. That one there likely leaking too. Who knows? Anyhow, they've got to come out of there. And then getting these studs all with the nuts that move freely. This one here doesn't move very well on it, so I'm going to take and run the ream through that, or whatever they call that thing. Down there, there's a tap and die. That's it. Yeah, so here, now, taking the valves out of, I've got 2 of them, springs off on that side here, right? There's springs. Anyway, now, got to be pretty careful not to lose those little clippy things in there. So, I'll show you what I'm doing. I've got this spring valve removing tool, and it works pretty good. It's like not really that strong. I don't know if there's any better ones out there, but this one's a fairly cheap thing, and fairly cheap things work for a little while, but not very long. It's like this is off of Amazon, right? And made in China. Made fairly cheaply, but if you get it centered properly, like so it's centered on the far side here on the valve and centered here, then you have to sort of put your hand on it to hold it tight and then get that up there. Turn it into about here somewhere, and then the little clippy things will fall out. But if you're not holding it tight, it falls off the top of the valve. There it is. Yeah, now that's those are all out now. Just the valves come out of it. And again, they look in pretty decent shape. No pitting. I think they're fairly new. I don't know. Like, the motor was taken apart sometime. That doesn't want to go through there. Don't want to force it, so we'll see what happens here. Number 2. Number 3. That's one there's got lots of yuck on it for some reason. Anyway, there's 4 of them here, but this one here doesn't want to go through for some reason. And I don't want to force it because that'll be not good. I don't see where it's burred, but I'll check it into it and see if I can get that thing out of there. Yeah, so there I just took a bit of emery cloth and cleaned off. There was a little bit of a burr on there somewhere. Can't really see or couldn't feel it, but a little bit of emery cloth cleaned it off. There's a very, very, very tight tolerance in there. Yeah, so here I am measuring the tolerance here on the valve. So you're supposed to be able to, I've got this thing here which is a dial measuring, and you just put the valve up next to it here, right? And you push the valve up until it's even with the bottom of the other side where the spring hits. You just hold it with your finger. Then you push it this way and pull it this way, push it and pull it. And in this valve, for this valve, I have a, movement of about 1/1000th of an inch, like, or what it would, like 0.010 of an inch, whatever that is. And so that's well within tolerance. The tolerance is 0.040 or 0.047 of an inch. So easily within tolerance for that one. So now I'll just check them all across. I'll let you know if there's any that are outside tolerance. And if it's outside tolerance, then I have to go and get a new valve guide and put it in, right? But in this case, it's okay. Here's number 2 checking it out. So you push the valve up from underneath with your finger and just move that up a little bit so that it rests against the side there. And then push it this way, right? It goes to 0.9. Push it this way, it goes to 0.75. So that's 15.015 of an inch, which is well within tolerance of 0.47 of an inch. Okay, well, we're happy there. So now I'll flip over and I'll just do the other side of this thing. This tool here is like, it's from Princess's Auto. I'm pretty sure you get the same thing at Harbor Freight. And it's got this little on-off switch here that puts the magnet down close to here so that it actually works and holds it on. So kind of a handy little device. Now I have to get it all turned around so that it goes measuring the other side. Right about there, hey? Whoops. No, that's upside down backwards. This thing here has to be turned to measure the other way. Oh yeah, there you go. Is there an easier way to do this? I don't know. Certainly not. Anyhow, something like that, eh? Now, this comes down on my vise and gets magnetically held. And once it's held solid there, then I'm ready to put in the next valve. But I have to go and clean that all out with Q-tip. Use a lot of Q-tips in this little operation. So I'll clean it out. That's pretty boring stuff. And then I'll show you what's happening next. Yeah, no, here New valves, right? I just got standard size valves. Everything else, everything seems to be okay. You don't need any, doesn't need anything oversized. Everything, standard stuff seems to be working just fine. Now, these bags are tougher than I am, right? So there. Now, just put a bunch of, like a little, put a drop of oil down the hole, down the thing, down the guide there. And I'll put a bunch of this rebuilding oil, which is sticky stuff, on the shaft, and then put it in. Work it back and forth a bit, make sure there's no crunchy sounds, right? If there's crunchy sounds, bad news. That's good. Now, this thing here, again, you just push up on the bottom with your finger up to that height. Then you have to get this thing here into the right spot. So I have to move it in just a tiny bit there. Doesn't matter if you move it too far, because the spring on here will move around. You just want relative distances. It doesn't have to be absolute distances, right? So this comes up to here, touches on there, but I got to move it that way a little bit. Right about there. Right around there. Now, it's just touching on the edge of the lip there, so push that way, and it gets up to 55. Pull this way, and it gets down to 37. So that's 0.0. I'll just do it again because I lost track, which is nothing new there. Okay, so 55 to 37, so that's 0.017, or 0.018, and 0.047 is the tolerance, so we're good. I'm happy with that one. One more to check. I'll just do that right away here. Might be on the easy. See if that'll work. Yep, that'll work. There it is, sitting next to the thing. So you push in that way, it goes to 0.48. Pull this way, it goes to 35. So 0.013. That's well within tolerance. So I'm happy with the tolerances of all those valves. Now the next thing to do is to grind them up. Do some grinding on them. So I'll turn you off for a bit while I get set up to grind. Yeah, here we go. So I've got this valve grinding stuff, right? Just put a little dab on your finger, and it only takes about 5 or 6 dabs around the thing. These aren't, like, these things are all pretty good. They're not, there's none of them in bad shape, so it's pretty simple seating these. Then I got this device here that when you pull on the trigger, it turns back and forth, back and forth. So now that this valve here has been finished and seated to that exhaust port, then I'll put it in, and I'll put a bit of this Yucco Gupro on it there. And that's where that stays forever now. It's in its home. And it moves nice and easy. So I'm happy there. That's good. Let's do this one now. Yeah, so there's all those 4 valves are done. Now I've got to go and there's the stuff I use for engine assembly lube, right? Permatex. Anyhow, these things here, I'll go over and run the wire wheel on them. That stuff there is in the soaking in that degreaser stuff. And then after the wire wheel, I put it back together, put the valves back in it. Yeah, so here we go. I'll start putting them back together. These things, I got them all cleaned off pretty nicely at the wire wheel and the tops of them too. So one goes there like that, and then that just goes on here, right? Hold that together while I get this thing here lined up. Law. Then yeah, there now, that's 4 of them in place there now. Now they were, once I got it figured out, one of the tricks to that thing, the spring compressor, is lots of oil. Put lots of oil on the threads and on the parts that turn on it, because they, you know, they just pressure fit that thing there. Where is it pointing? Right there. Yeah, sort of a pressure fit thing. So, lots of oil makes it move easy. Now, I'll just put the nuts and bolts back onto the right spot here, and that'll be okay for now. Yeah, so June 1st, right? And pretty quiet down here again. Windy and cold today. And, as usual, not a thing on the pond. I heard something fly away over there, but I don't know where it was. Anyway.